to our QMS Remembrance Day Service. For many of us, we've been through these services over the course of a number of years, many years in fact. For others, it might be one of the first. I just thought to mention initially, it is one of those services that is special and does require an extra level of respect and to create that with the right kind of mood, so the appropriate tone. We have our band, three different bands here today. We have the orchestra, we have the choir, we have several readers as well. And it's wonderful to have the student elements. At the end of the service, we'll have an opportunity, I'm sure, to show our appreciation. But during the service, when they finish their performances, if we could just maintain that quiet and actually not applaud, please, then, as I say, at the end, we'll have that opportunity. Please stand.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row. So bravely singing fly. We are the dead. We live. Loved and were loved. And now we lie in Flanders fields. Be yours to hold it high. If ye retake with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Laura, and I am a 7th grade student at Queen Margaret School. I am 12 years old, and you were assigned to me for a Remembrance Day project. Although it may just be for a project, learning about your sacrifice in the war has really helped me appreciate the generosity of our veterans. It must have been quite terrifying signing up to go to war, but life as a miner must have also been quite scary. While researching, I found that you enlisted to be a soldier on March 31st, 1915, and were lucky to survive the entire war. You later died at the age of 64 in 1965. You fought in the First World War and served alongside your battalion in hundreds of battles located in both Belgium and France. Some of the most famous battles you fought in were Ypres, Passchendaele, Vimy, and the Battle of the Somme, but the list goes on. You fought in the 25th Battalion, which was recruited from your home province of Nova Scotia. 14% of your battalion did not survive the Great War, while 50% were wounded in battle. Your battalion took heavier casualties than most other Canadian battalions, and it must have been terribly hard to see so many of your fellow soldiers lose their lives. All Canadians should remember and be thankful for the sacrifices that our veterans made to save our country and others. I think that we must also consider how fortunate we are not to have to go to war or send our loved ones to fight. Learning about World War I has been a beneficial experience for me and has impacted the way I view my veterans. I am immensely thankful to everyone who fought for their country and put themselves through so much pain and suffering in order to do so. Sincerely, Clara.
Dear Mr. Kennett, my name is Madison and I am 12 years old, and I'm currently attending Queen Margaret School. We are doing an assignment about remembering our veterans for Remembrance Day. I'm truly honored to be writing this letter to you. After being assigned this project, I spoke to my parents and learned things that I had never knew before. I learned that my great-grandfather, George Hago, was in the military, and he was born in Hillingdon, England in 1899. He joined the British Royal Army when he was 15 years old to fight in World War I, and he was on the ships working in the kitchen, feeding all of his crewmates from 1914 to 1915. Thankfully, he was one of the lucky ones who were able to come home, but he was different than what he was before. When on board, he was forced to drink a large amount of rum to calm his nerves, along with the other members on board. Unfortunately, this led to a lifelong alcoholism. He returned home safe with the rank of Chief Petty Officer, but his life was affected forever because of this awful time. While researching, I've learned so many amazing things about you. I have found that you were born on October 5th, 1877 in Wye, England. You grew up and got married to Alice May Kennett and had 3 children named Valentine, Howard, and Queenie. Your date of service was April 22nd, 1916, and you were enlisted in the military on April 27th, 1916 in Duncan, BC. Your regimental number was 332802. Your rank was a driver in the 62nd Battery, and you were in the Canadian Expeditionary Force. I researched that the rank driver is someone who drove the teams of horses which pulled the guns. I also learned that the 62nd Battery was meant to operate reserve units of artillery. I would like to thank you for all the risks you took and all the sacrifices you have made, all the pain you have endured, and especially your bravery in serving our country. Without you, Canada would not be the most beautiful, peaceful, and wonderful place that it is today. Even though I do not know you personally, from the information I have learned about you, it is clear that you are a brave, courageous, and strong person. I commend and honor you for your service and all that you have done. Because of you and all the other people who have served our country, I am proud to be Canadian. I am free to live and make my own choices. I promise I will not let my generation forget about you and all the other veterans and all the sacrifices you have made. I will cherish Canada's freedom forever and never take it for granted. Thank you for everything you have done, Mr. Kennett. Respectfully yours, Madison.
Although it's been brief, it's been really lovely to have our kindergartners and our grade 1s and our grade 2s join us for the start of the service. It's been brilliant with your behaviour. I'd just like to invite you now to depart in your own time. Thank you. We'll just pause for a moment.
excerpt from For the Fallen. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted. They fell, their faces to the foe. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Please stand.
Please be seated.
Patrick Mingay, Albert Kyle, Andrew Johnston, Alistair Hazel, John Hopkins,
William Powell, Donald French, Miles Neal, Michael Martin, Desmond Martin.
David Crane, Jackie Davies, Douglas Craig, Carl Shelford, Carl Goodmother,
Edwin Fleischer, Marie Crichton, Michael Collier, Trevor Hoy, Arthur Mayling,
Alan Dunlop, Davis Savage, Norman Stone, Paul Stone, Peter Stone.
Douglas Burke, Anthony Molian, Penelope Bailey, Molly Barber Starkey, Doris Biswager,
Molly McKenzie, Keith McKenzie, Annette Mitchell, Esme Mutter Day, Cherry Hooper.
Barbara Jackson, Carl Sleepy, Grace Lamborn, Margaret Campbell, Diana Cohen,
Dorothy Duncan, Joyce Gooding, Biddy Sriani, Peggy Palmer, Priscilla Ronco,
Dorothy Price, Anne Leonard Staples, Joan Sullivan, Nesta Ellis, Diane Spencer.
Nancy Hayward, Arlene King, Jane Hutchins, Sylvia Marlowe, Betty Baum,
Gladys Hancock, Margaret Harper, Joyce Frampton, Joanne Taylor, Joy Hobson.
Barbara Tom, Nilla Christie, Phyllis Walker, Ann Proctor, Margaret Mockford,
Jocelyn Raggy, Isabel Peck, Penelope Stockley, Doreen Smith, Penny Rennie,
Anne Moore, Nancy Emerson, Rosemary Bradley Guy, Jill Humphreys, Betty Booth.
Shirley Gooding, Patricia Fish, Mary Patton, Marjorie McLean, Julius Worsley, Kathleen Thompson,
disregard the danger, set aside your safety, make irrelevant the repercussions, take to heart the reprimand, do it at all costs. Capture this position at all costs. It's not a choice, it's a commandment. It's not a request, it's a requirement. Capture this position at all costs. He's bleeding and I can see it. He's bleeding and I can't stop it. And his blood is red. Red like the poppies they'll remember us by. We won't make it out alive. We'll stay only memories. And the ground is red with the blood of my friends. They weren't men, they were boys. We're all boys. Will we ever get to grow up and be men? He's still bleeding. 2 shots fired into his leg, and he's bleeding. He's still going. This is at all costs. And he's doing whatever it takes, and he's disregarding the danger, and he's setting aside his safety. He's doing it at all costs. There are bullets in his leg, and I'm lost in the harmonic haze of gunshots. He was shot. He's bleeding, but he's bounding ahead. He's beyond my sight line. I can't keep up. I'm not bleeding. He's ahead of me, and he's bleeding. Obliterate the objective at all costs. He obliterates the occupants. He captures the position at all costs. He's bleeding, but he's leading. He led us into battle. We're not bleeding. At all costs, he took us from vanquish to valor at the cost of his life. He took us from vanquish to valor at all costs. I wrote this piece from the perspective of a fellow soldier fighting alongside Major Charles Howie in Burma on February 16, 1944. This was an intense scenario in which Major Howie demonstrated the utmost bravery and leadership. I intended to emphasize the fact that he took 2 shots to the leg as well as facing a head injury. Still, he gained the most ground and his company struggled to keep up with him despite his impairments. He was the first to arrive at the scene, and while he was successful to complete his task, this led to him sustaining a mortal wound. His death and his valor did not and do not go unnoticed. The Victoria Cross is the highest and most prestigious award of the British honors system. It is awarded to those who show valor in the presence of the enemy. Major Howie, who is a alum of our very own Queen Margaret's, was awarded the Victoria Cross to commemorate his selflessness and his sacrifice. His acts warrant our admiration, and I hope that his story reaches some level of resonance inside us all. Thank you, lest we forget.
Morning. It's an honor to be part of this beautiful service this morning. In 2014, a young man named Nathan Cirillo, Corporal Nathan Cirillo, was killed as he guarded the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Ottawa. And I wrote this song to remember that there are still people, that there are many people serving our country now, and facing that danger for all of us. The red poppies dance on the green fields of France, over the lost boys of cavalry route. We brought one of them home, and with Caledonia stone, built that pillar you've seen on the news. Yeah, the tomb of the unknown soldier. last sacred place on the hill. We remember the lost, we remember the cost, and remember, we're paying it still. Now the papers keep showing that picture of the handsome young corporal on guard. And in the next frame he's down, folks gathered round, killed as he stood there unarmed. So we're lying in the highway of heroes, all dressed in black, red, and white. Some mourn, some cheer, but the consensus down here is no matter what we do, nothing feels right. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, the last sacred place on the hill, we remember the lost, we tally the cost, and remember, we're paying it still. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, the last sacred place on the hill, we remember the lost, we remember the cost, and remember, we're paying it still. But you are not an unknown soldier. Ask your son there, so broken and proud. They can't take away what they tried to that day. Ask the soldier who's standing there now.
So at this point, everyone, we do actually get a chance to recognize the absolutely marvelous efforts that have gone in to try and create something meaningful and special for us. I want to start with a young man that I know very well. We go back a long way to Jack Connolly, and that's an original composition that if you follow the words, you would have understood when he wrote it. And it's just wonderful that you were willing to be with us and share that today, Jack, so thank you. I want to thank, on our behalf, all the performers, all who presented today, for the sincerity and the dignity that they brought to those presentations. So if you would give them all a round of applause. And particular thanks to Bria, because I thought that was particularly special, Bria. Thank you so much. Our occasions would never quite be the occasions that they are without the music, the marvelous music and the vocal talent of all these wonderful young people behind you, led so admirably by Ms. Hamilton. So let's give them a round. An event like this doesn't just happen, as you know. There's a lot of work goes behind the scenes, and I know that Ms. Ludvigsen is responsible for the program with Mrs. Carr and working together with Mr. Monroe. This was Mr. Monroe's brainchild, from concept to execution, and it's been absolutely first class. So thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank my good friend, Dr. Peter Leckie, for playing the pipes for us today. These occasions are never quite the same, certainly for someone with my accent without the pipes. And I have a particular bias, as you can imagine. But Dr. Leckie, again, thank you so much. No matter what we've picked up a little bit of how important it is for us to keep remembering all who went before us and all the sacrifices that they made. For someone like me, I've been doing this for a long time, and I always get moved at these ceremonies. But then I excuse it because it was a great line from a Latin poet called Horace, who said, "There are tears and things that touch the human heart." Thank you.